Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. It's March 2nd, 2017. One of the top headlines is that the Yemen Raid of January 31st has now netted results. It found a list of 100 plus names of al-Qaeda operatives, the terrorist group blamed for September 11th, 2001. If you missed this raid story from the end of January in Yemen, it was said to be a controversial decision by the Trump administration. Supposedly, a soldier was killed, Mr. Owens. Just 2 nights ago, when Trump gave his speech to Congress, the wife of the fallen soldier was there. She got a lot of headlines for shedding tears. I want to talk about al Qaeda and today's news. We're going to talk about news by the numbers from September 11th, 2001 up to the present, and really way before September 11th. News by the numbers is as old as the history of this nation. But let's just start right here with CNN's headlines. CNN always codes their headlines with gematria, the ancient practice of coding numbers into words. Uh-oh, says a plugin isn't working. Okay, well, it's not letting me copy and paste for some reason, but Yemen Raid provided names. Let's just take this headline. Yemen Raid provided names. And just to verify, make sure that's the right phrasing. Yemen Raid provided names. Notice the gematria of 113. This is a number routinely coded into propaganda. Mainstream equals 113. Note the 41 gematria as well. Dishonest equals 113. Perjury equals 113. The word bullshit in reverse ordinal is also 113. And this is what our news media feeds us every day. An ongoing lie. This Islamic boogeyman is part of the ongoing mainstream dishonest bullshit. The 113. Now look at this. I want to take you back to September 11th, 2001 with al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda, using the alphabetic order, sums to 41, identical to USA, very similar to Saudi Arabia, which sums to 41 in English reduction. And just so you can see this, just like how we typed in mainstream and it was 41 and reduced, Saudi Arabia is 41 and reduced, 86 with the alphabetic order. Another special number, symbol equals 86, triangle 86, pyramid 86, republic 86. But anyway, 41 in the reduction method. They said that the al-Qaeda operatives were from Saudi Arabia on September 11th, 2001. The date of 9/11/2001 was a date with 41 numerology. And the president was George W. Bush, a member of Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones equals 41. His father was a member of Skull and Bones. His father was the 41st president of the United States, George Herbert Walker Bush. George W., his son, became president just before 9/11. His son was the 43rd president. Yale equals 43. That's where Skull and Bones is at. His father was 41, Skull and Bones 41. You might recall that when George W. Bush became president, it came down to Florida, where his brother was the governor. His brother was the 43rd governor of Florida. USA, we just talked about how it sums to 41 with the alphabetic order, using Francis Bacon gematria, which is where you add 26 to each capital letter. So that's adding 78 more, 26 times 3. USA is 119. And think about the date, September 11th, 11/9. 119, special number. All-seeing eye equals 119. Star of David, master plan. They said Zionists from Israel were recording the attack in New Jersey, meaning people from Israel had foreknowledge. Yesterday, March 1st, 2017, date with 41 numerology. Big military headlines yesterday. March represents war, Roman god of war, March. Think about how the second war with Iraq began in March, needlessly. The name Donald also has this gematria of 119. And yesterday, March 1st, of Trump's presidency, they said his ratings went up yesterday. The Wall Street had a big gain. People appreciated his speech the night before. So yesterday was a good day for Donald Trump. It was the 41st day of his presidency. And yesterday was also a date with 41 numerology, just like September 11th, 2001 was. March 1st, 41 days, or the 41st day of Trump's administration. Inauguration day was January 20th, 2017. Remember, that was a date with 58 numerology, inauguration day. It was the 58th presidential inauguration. They hired the 58-year-old Steve Ray. Freemasonry equals 58, secret society, United States. Donald Trump has the 58-story hotel in New York where he announced he would run for president from, winning the 58th presidential election. He ran on building a wall. Humpty Dumpty equals 58. There was that weird Humpty Dumpty commercial during the Super Bowl. Don't forget that. Humpty Dumpty 58 fell off the wall. This number 41, special number, USA 41, King 41, Hill 41. Think about the city on the hill, Washington, D.C. Key 41, lock 41. 41's the 13th prime number. In octal numbers, 33 is 41. There's a relationship between 33 and 41. 41's the 13th prime number. Think about 13 colonies, 13 stripes on the flag, 13 years of public school programming. If you write out 13 as a word, it sums to 99, just like Navy SEAL. Part of the speech, the death of the Navy SEAL, the focus on the wife of the Navy SEAL. You see how it all comes together so nicely? Yesterday was March 1st. A lot of stories written yesterday about the death of the Navy SEAL and his wife at the speech. March 1st in most parts of the world is written 1/3, a lot like 13. Talking about a soldier, the beginning of the month having so much to do with war. As for the date Trump gave his first speech to Congress, couldn't have been any more perfect date to address the nation. February 28, 2017, date with 47 numerology, president equals 47. The night of the election, Trump was in the 47-story Midtown Hilton Hotel. This is Freemasonry doing this. Freemasonry has something called Euclid's 47th problem about how to establish foundation for a structure. Foundation 47. Framework 47, Authority 47, President 47, Christian 47. Think about what an important point it is for the U.S. President to always state how Christian they are. Christian and President both 47, like the name Trump, who claims to be a Christian but is clearly not. He said his favorite Bible verse as a Christian is an eye for an eye. Comical stuff. The exact opposite of what Jesus said. Eye for an eye is from the Old Testament. The name Trump in reverse ordinal, or the name Trump in ordinal is the same as Jewish in reverse ordinal, which is 88. They're calling Trump the first Jewish president because all of his family have married into Jewish families, all of his children, except for that youngest boy who's only 10. Also, the date of the address, February 28th, 228. United States of America has gematria of 228. Fitting date to address the nation. Big focus was the wife of the fallen Navy SEAL. Interesting spelling on her name, Carryn Owens. I've never seen Carryn spelled that way before. Makes me think the whole story's fake and she was an actress purposefully put there because she knew how to shed the tears. Don't put it past your country. Your country runs on propaganda, lies, deceit. They use actors to sell us out all throughout history. It's also possible this woman really did lose her husband, but it's possible the whole story of the raid and all that's not even true. Remember Pat Tillman, the football player who went to Afghanistan, came out that he died as a hero in combat. Then it came out he died in friendly fire. Then it came out he was killed point blank in the back of the head and there was an investigation. And I don't know how it ever ended up. He got a bridge named after him by the Hoover Dam. But the point is, we get lied to all the time. We don't know what's going on. If you trust anything that comes out of the media, that's just foolishness. So I would say just tell yourself you don't know what's really going on here. Don't trust the mainstream narrative. This woman's husband was sacrificed possibly for her own future stardom. This 15 minutes she gets, who knows? People are sick in this world. But I'll show you what's interesting about her husband and her own name. This interesting spelling of Carryn And it just makes me wonder, is this even a real person? Is this just a made-up acting name for this story? Such a strange spelling, but Carryn has these numbers of death and killing. The numbers in her name, 34, 79, 38, 83, we see these again and again around death. The word murder is a perfect match. Her name also syncs up with news. She became the focus of the news. Her name syncs with propaganda and her husband. Here's where we began. Yemen Raid provided names, the 113 coding, the coding of frequent propaganda. I should mention that today's date, actually, what I was about to say is not true. Never mind. Today's date, March 2nd, special number in regards to this nation, 3/2 or 2/3. If you take it as 3/2, America equals 32. The date of our independence, July 4th, 1776, 7 plus 4 plus 1 plus 7 plus 7 plus 6 equals 32. UK, using the alphabetic order, equals 32, like United Kingdom, who we supposedly got our independence from. Today is also the 61st day of the year. Planting big seeds about terrorism. You know, a little more than a week ago, it was the death of the blind sheik. There were headlines about how his death could create terrorism in the U.S., a response from al-Qaeda. So this is all part of an ongoing narrative. Blind sheik equals 93, like propaganda. He's blamed for the 93 World Trade Center bombing. Al-Qaeda, the small way, also sums to 23. Today's date can be written 2/3. This article is about how the raid turned up operatives for al-Qaeda. The man who died in the raid, whose wife was at the speech by Trump to Congress, his name in gematria, William Ryan Owens. See if we can get this to pop up. There we go. 213. We talk about how this number connects to Freemasonry. Nimrod, the original Freemason from the Bible, has the 213 connection. We see this number show up around death again and again. It's strange that the word death in satanic gematria sums to 213. And just because I don't talk about satanic gematria, this is a new cipher to me. I want to show you what has stood out to me about this cipher. If you write out satanic gematria, it sums to 666. And satanic gematria, the way the cipher works, let me just show you this too. It starts with A, which is the 36th letter, and Z is the 61st. So it's A to Z, 1 to 26, but starting at 36 and going to 61. And remember, if you count every number 1 through 36 and add it together, it sums to 666, just like satanic gematria. We were talking about how for years Donald Trump has had 523 coded next to him, and Donald Trump equals 523 in satanic gematria. So anyway, this man's name, 213, we find out that death is 213 in satanic gematria, and we have seen 213 show up in suspicious deaths all throughout history. So again, you see that woman crying at the speech to Congress? You don't know what she's really crying about. Perhaps she's crying because she knows she had a person murdered for her own future benefit. She wouldn't be the first person in the history of the world to do that. The man's name also sums to propaganda. It's entirely possible that this character is just made up. Again, she's an actress just playing a part, crying for a person that doesn't even exist, for a raid that never happened. Entirely possible. Navy SEAL also has the gematria 45. Trump, the 45th president. Berlin Wall equals 45. Donald Trump announces the 45th president on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, November 9th, 119. 45 is the sum of the magic square of Saturn, and just notice Saturn has the numbers of 93, like propaganda. Saturn also connects back to 119. The 93 World Trade Center bombing was synced up with September 11th, 2001, all by the numbers of Masonry. Saturn, the keeper of time, syncing up events by the numbers of Saturn is to sync up events in correspondence with time, which is exactly what the Freemasons do in their rituals. In case you're new here, the more you watch my videos, the more clear this becomes, because you'll see it's always the same numbers that are coded into the propaganda. Today's date has 42 numerology. The date of the raid was a date with a life lesson number of 42. Saturn in reverse reduction also sums to 42. And as we've explained a million times, almost all of this research comes back to mathematics of cycles and circles and time, and Saturn is the keeper of time, so Saturn is so fundamental. In terms of all the different gematria ciphers, there's never been a word where I've looked at all the numbers that correspond with that word and said, wow, what powerful connections. Saturn is so amazing, all the connections, all the significance within it. Things like 69, think about that in terms of cycles and time. We also know Saturn in Jewish gematria is 511. Donald Trump's campaign for the 45th president, the sum of the magic square of Saturn is 45. Trump's campaign was 511 days. We see 511 and 93 come together so often in this study. Death of Bob Marley and more. So, I think we covered all that pretty well. The Yemen raid, the headline when CNN was breaking the news about it, inside the Yemen raid, they coded a 187 into it. Remember the significance of 187 with Washington, D.C.? I want you to see this real quick. Washington, D.C., named after George Washington in reverse ordinal is 187. Also 137, which is the 33rd prime number. 33rd prime number. George Washington, a 33rd degree Freemason. Notice the name George Washington. 187, the reflection. Wow, I'm glad I have the satanic up here. 747, that's interesting because Masonic 74 and President is 47. Look at George Washington in reverse, 74, and President is 47. This is why being aware of these ciphers reveals so much. Look at President, reduced and reversed, reduced. And look at White House, 5247. And look at government. Remember, Donald Trump graduated or began his Jesuit training in 1964, 52 years before being elected to the White House, his first seat in government. We find out the name Trump has the 47 connection. Donald Trump, hold on again with the 187, Donald Trump had his GOP convention start July 18th, 18/7, 187 days before Inauguration Day in Washington, D.C., named after George Washington. You see? This woman's name, Carryn Owens, I want you to notice it's also 56 and reduced, just like Washington, D.C. Also, just like the word president, if you take into account the S exception. You see? The president resides in Washington, D.C., all of these systems so interrelated. I'm not sure satanic gematria fits in with everything, but it's no doubt it's a cipher that's been used and is used for certain things. Seeing how Donald Trump equals 523 in satanic gematria blew my mind because I've been documenting for a year and a half before knowing about this how they keep coding that number next to him. I just showed the other night how the snafu to close out the 89th Oscars with Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway, who played Bonnie and Clyde, I showed how that was truly a tribute to Donald Trump. Lo and behold, Bonnie and Clyde died May 23rd in history, 523. And, you know, just to give you one more piece on 523, my computer is running terrible today. I don't know why. Am I getting hacked? What's going on? 523 is the 99th prime number. We were talking about 99, how when you write out 13, it sums to 99. The Bavarian Illuminati was established May 1st, 1776, a date with 99 numerology by 13 families. So anyway, they coded that in the headline, the 187. This story's been attached to Trump from the beginning. There's been all sorts of storylines that have come off it if you weren't following. CNN was saying things like, if Hillary Clinton was the president and this happened, it would have been the latest Benghazi. And they're saying, part of the media headline, if you haven't been following the stories, have you noticed that when Republicans are in office and military mishaps happen, it's not a big deal, but when it's a Democrat, it's a breach of duty, it's a failure of responsibility? And understand, the media is all propaganda meant to pit people against each other, but if you pay attention to the way the media, the same media that calls itself out, that is most of the time the way they present things, though. And it's all done by design to play with people's minds and keep them fighting. Look at Republican in Gematria, 47, and look at Democrat in reverse, 47. You see? Reflections of each other. Different rhetoric, same governorship. So I will link these posts as well as the Gematrinator calculator if you want to do some calculations yourself. But this is what it is, news by the numbers. Don't be fooled by the hype. Don't be fooled by the paid-for actors and deception. It's what our government uses our tax dollars for. Until next time. What I meant to say earlier when I thought I was making a mistake was that the raid was January 31st, a date that's written 1/31, kind of like the number 131. That is the 32nd prime number. And now they're saying the raid from January 31st on March 2nd, 3/2, a lot like 32, has netted these results of the terrorist names. Don't forget who the real terrorists are. The definition of terrorism a century ago was government by intimidation, and that's what we have here in the United States of America. The date January 31st, it can also be written 31/1, kind of like 311. U is the 21st letter, 21 in numerology becomes 3. S is the 19th letter, S becomes 1. A is the first, A becomes 1. USA is 311, the reflection of 113 where we began. So there it is, Truth Seeker. Until next time.